Hey guys, welcome to episode 3, season 3 of the Battle of Ontario Hockey podcast. How you doing, Fleming? You're probably doing a little bit better than I am since your Leafs have turned it around the last week here, and my Senators haven't quite yet.
Season 3, episode 3, 3 wins in a row for the Leafs, baby. We're rolling. That's how it goes. So, maybe it's kind of lucky we didn't do a show last week when the Leafs lose 4 in a row, and I was ready to come on all last Wednesday night. We were going to come on when they were playing the Flyers, and I had a book ready, I was telling you. But, things change, and we're back on top, baby. Woo!
Yeah, things do change very, very quickly, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, one thing I'd like to say is this episode is brought to you by Family Dental Center. These guys are top-notch, and I've got the proof. Look at these teeth compared to what I had in junior hockey. Holy night and day, guys. I always get chirped because I wear a fishbowl now in hockey and ball hockey. But when you spend thousands of dollars and you look this good, you got to protect the teeth. So if you want your teeth looking this good, Family Dental Center is the place to be. We'd like to thank them and all of our other sponsors for an amazing year we had with Pay It Forward Sports and all of the tournaments. But yeah, Leaf talk, buddy. I mean, it's a big change from, let's say, about a week, six days ago, we were going to do a podcast, and unfortunately, we both weren't really feeling the greatest, so we took a week off. But we're going to make sure from here on out, we're going to go every week, especially next week. We got a guest coming on. He's been on before, and he was one of our fan favorites. I don't know if we want to tell anybody yet. It's up to you, Fleming.
Let it fly, buddy. Let it fly.
Let it fly. So one of Balbo's favorites, David Silverstone, is going to join the podcast again next week. So that was an awesome episode last year. I know everyone loved it, and we got more stories to come. But having said that, yeah, the Leafs, man, like you said, they lost, 4 in a row, and now they've won 3 in a row. And it's funny, is it me, or does this happen every year? The Leafs lose to the shittiest teams and then beat the best teams in regular season anyways.
Man, it was coming to a point where, I think the Leafs had lost to, Montreal, Phoenix, Anaheim, San Jose, Las Vegas. Teams that either A, didn't make the playoffs, or not one team that made it past the first round of the playoffs, right? And then they're on this terrible losing streak, and you're like, okay, now we're going to come home and play Boston, who's the best team in the league, Carolina on a back-to-back. You're thinking, God, they might take 1 or 2 of these. Samsonov gets hurt Saturday night against Boston, so they come back with Eric Shalgren, who I think he's 0-4 this year. Borderline probably is an NHL goalie. I would have bet my house the Leafs lost to Carolina last night. I'm still dumbfounded how a team can play that bad for a period of a week and come out and on back-to-back with travel beat one of the best teams in the league in Carolina and Boston back-to-back. It boggles my mind. I actually can't fathom how it happened. So, I was ready to come on last week and just destroy the Leafs. I was ready to rip Dubas again. I was going to call this episode Fire Dubas 3.0 since we talk about it every year. But look, they've come back. I don't know what to say about it. I think with the Leafs, I think you just got to buckle in, enjoy the ride, stress about it, but it's going to be a ride, and you'll see if you make the playoffs. Like we've been saying the past couple of years, it only really matters what they do in the playoffs unless they don't make the playoffs. But enjoy the ride because they can win any night, and they can certainly lose any night. So that's my thoughts on them.
Well, I think the Carolina game is the biggest surprise for me, obviously.
100%.
You're with your third-string goalie. The Bruins one isn't as big to me just because it's Saturday night. The Leafs have got to turn it around, or they had, they're going to get a performance. And as good as Boston is, I still don't think they're a 10 or 11-1 team. They're going to lose one sooner or later. There's going to be a game where the puck just isn't going to the net. At the same time, the Leafs deserve that one. So that's a big win for them, beating the number 1 team. It's just crazy to, that's how close the NHL can be. And we've seen it even with gambling, right?
Yeah.
There's no for sure bet. You could have the best team playing the worst team, and the worst team could win, right? It's just, maybe that's time to bet, but you get good odds.
And,
but that's just the way it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, it's anybody's game, and that's what makes it a sport. That's why they play all the games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, we've talked about this every year, and nothing's changed. If they finish first place or 8th place in the Eastern Conference, it's all about playoffs. And to me, I still don't think anything has changed. They do this every year. They lose a few in a row. They win a few in a row. They lose a few in a row. They go win a bunch. Nothing's changed. And they're never going to win until they make a trade. Like I've said, the team they have now is not a cup contender in the playoffs.
I do not disagree with you. So I'm not even going to really push back on it. I mean, I think what the start of the season showed is they don't have the depth. Like if Marner, Matthews, Tavares, and Nylander don't single-handedly carry them through a playoff series, they're not going to win the playoff series because they have worse depth than everyone, and their depth guys don't play the game you need in the playoffs. Like, there's no way Kerfoot's going to go score a goal in the playoffs. There's no way Engvall is going to do fuck all. Like, I was looking at Jason Spezza's stats from the playoffs. When they were in Montreal, the guy had 3 goals in 6 playoff games. Like, there's no one in the Leafs bottom 6 that's going to do that outside of maybe my boy Nick Robertson. There's a guy that need to get going because he could be a difference maker because he can score. Man, he just adds a different element to the team. Like, maybe he's not the best defensively. Maybe he doesn't hit. None of the other guys hit at the third or fourth line anyway, so I don't see the problem. But, man, Robertson is a firecracker around the net, man. He's got hands. He's got a shot. He can put the puck away. So if he's one of those guys, he might be able to carry you through a week or two in the regular season because if he gets hot, he's got the shot to score. So I'd like to see Robertson stay up. I really would. Last night, he actually ended up on the top 6. The Leafs shuffled the lines a little bit last night, bro. I don't know if you saw this, but it was Tavares, Marner, and Robertson to end the game on the second line there. And then Matthews was with Nylander. So the lines were shifted. I really want to see Robertson get given a chance here. He's a difference maker to this lineup. He's not the same as all the other guys in the bottom 6 who are the same guy. A guy that can score, that's what they need. They got to give him a shot.
Oh, I 100% agree. And I know people always, I always get these people, oh, you just ripped the Leafs. My point is the way the team is built, they're not built to win right now. So to go on with your point, and I think it's exactly right, is now you've got another guy who can slide up into that top 6. Maybe he's not ready 100% of the time, but you have to get him that ready because that's what he's fit for. Robertson is not a guy that's to play in your bottom 6.
Nope.
He's in your bottom 6. He should be on your team. I mean, obviously they're developing, and they've got some depth right now up at the top. They don't have it the bottom 6, but you know what I mean? So now is maybe where one of these guys are even a little bit more expandable, where you can put a trade out there, whether it's a goalie, because we don't even know where the goalie situation is with the Leafs right now. They don't have one. Or a defenseman. I mean, is it Muzzin that might be out for the year, done hockey?
Muzzin's done.
Maybe that's an option.
Muzzin's
or
completely
you're
done.
getting a really solid defensive third-line player, like maybe this is a bad example, but like a Pajot type, where you know he's going to be at your third line. You're going to grind it. Maybe that's not the same style of player, but you know what I mean? And then what you do is you've taken one of those guys out of the top 6, you move them, and now you replaced him with Robertson, and now you've got more depth, and you're more solidified somewhere else. That's what I would do. I think they need somebody. They need a little bit more toughness on their team too. And speaking about that,
some more toughness. I take any toughness.
What's that?
Some toughness. I take any toughness. Any toughness.
Yeah. But what was your thoughts on Matthews? You're a Leaf fan. There's a lot of people that were just ripping him apart, including, I think, Don Cherry even chimed in. Was it Rupp? Michael Rupp?
It was Rupp, yep. And Shazi said something.
Oh, did he? I didn't see that.
Yep.
So, Leaf fans, what's your take? And then I'll say my take.
Yeah. My take is Matthews, maybe like the body language doesn't look like, the coolest from like what the purists want to see in someone looking mean in that situation. But like, truth be told, it's a 5-2 game. It's practically a midget that's trying to fight him. Like, he's laughing him off because he'd ragdoll him like a dummy. Like, Matthews has never fought. He probably never will fight. He doesn't have to fight. The guy makes $14 million a year. He scores 60 goals a year. I don't want to see him fight. I don't want to see him around it. And, maybe he could have acted a little different, not smiled kind of thing. But Matthews, he slashed him. He speared him. He went at him. As far as I'm concerned, I saw pretty much everything I needed to see from Austin Matthews in that little exchange. I don't need to see him fight. The guy's there to score goals. He's going to score 60 this year, Brokey. So, you know what? Let the other plugs go in there and do something. Like, Giordano, you made your money. Jump in there. That's what you're supposed to do, dog.
I agree with you to a certain point. First off, I'm feeling a little bet there. $100 says Matthews doesn't get 60.
Well, we'll talk about that later. I might take that for odds.
You just said he's going to score 60, bud. So I 100% agree that you do not want your guy who's scoring 60 goals or close to 60. He had 60 last year. Fighting. I get it. The thing I don't like is he kind of went at him a couple times and he one-upped him. Like, you get pushed from behind, or like it was from behind. It's kind of the hip. That wasn't that bad. Then he went and cross-checked him in the head. Matthews did. That to me is like, okay, now you're egging him on. And then after, he gave him another push again. I mean, you don't have to go and fight the guy. Put him in a bear hug. At least act like
just put him in a bear hug. Yeah.
Like, put him in a bear hug. Maybe you wrestle the ground or something. I'm not saying drop the gloves, but I'm just saying to just sit there and kind of walk away and laugh and then look the other way and to me, it's just like childish, and it just shows that you can get under this guy's skin and push him around. And we see it in the playoffs. He did the same thing. He got a couple shots ahead, and you sit there and laugh. Well, you haven't laughed yet because you lost 6 rounds in a row.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think that overall, he's got to show a little bit more toughness. Is like, I'm not afraid of you, and I don't need this guy to jump in. I'll grab you.
I don't
That's
think he's
my take on it. Not drop the gloves, not try and fight. But I think he's still got to be like, holy Jesus, man, like you are playing a man sport. This isn't soccer. This isn't basketball or any other sports. There's fighting in hockey.
For sure. But I think we've made a big deal for the point that, like, everyone just wants him to bear hug the guy. Like, at the end of the day, no one wants him to fight him. They just want him to bear hug the guy, It proves that, yeah.
Afraid. Now, he looks like the biggest pussy in the NHL, which he probably is.
You know what I think it is?
4 and 30, 40 pounds more than the guy.
You know what I think it is? And I texted this dude. It's kind of like what Eric Tangradi told us one time. It's like guys coming from, like, American systems, and, like, when you don't play in, like, the OHL or Canadian Hockey League, like, sometimes you're sheltered from, like, that kind of environment, right? Like I'm sure when you were growing up, like, you guys know when you were playing for Trenton, like, look, there's 3 or 4 heavyweights on the other team, and, maybe we don't want to run our mouths around these guys. We don't want to do this. Matthews has probably been king shit his whole life. He grew up playing hockey in Arizona. Like, I don't know how many, the 12 other kids that were there, I'm sure none of them are probably, trying to fight him there. He goes off and he plays, like, he goes to play the USHL. There's no fighting in the USHL. He goes and finishes his, before he comes in, he plays in Switzerland for a year or two. So, I mean, he's just never been in that environment. Like, he doesn't know how to react. Like, the best way to kind of get used to those situations, be involved a few times. He's probably never been involved with them. And probably ever since he came to Leafs, they said, don't worry, that doesn't need to be a part of your game, which, look, it's not a part of his game anymore. He's a goal scorer. So, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you can tell he probably could have manhandled Konechny. Like, every time when he speared Konechny, and Konechny moved like 3 feet. Like, he's stronger than him. He could have bear hugged him. Sure, I'm sure he could have tackled him pretty easily, but it just kind of strikes me of a guy that's doesn't know what to do in that situation. Should he have probably learned before now? Yeah, but maybe it might be a tough lesson learning now kind of thing. So you know what? Hey, score 60 goals, dog. I got no problem. And sign a contract. Just don't go back to Goodwill or Tempe, Arizona.
Well, I think if I'm somebody on Toronto, like Giordano, for instance, and good on him jumping in. I mean, I'm not blaming him.
100%.
I think it's the right thing to do. It just would have been nice to see. Take 10 minutes after practice in Toronto and say, Matthews, if this happens again or something situation, maybe we can't get in there. Yeah. This is what to do.
100%.
Right?
Oh, for sure that should be a part of the learning from it. Yeah, 100%.
That should be a part of it anyways. Every guy should know that.
Honestly. Oh, yeah.
Whether you're scoring 70 goals or not, I don't care. You got to know at least how to handle your own, especially when you're that big, man. Right?
Oh, yeah,
at least
for sure.
handle the guy, hold the guy, and then it gets broken up. No punch you're throwing. I mean, it's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I just thought it was a little interesting, all the takes on it. And I think there's a lot of old school guys coming in, and I get it. It's a newer game. At the same time, I feel like, hey, we can't just not have no fighting, and we can't have any of the toughness. And I thought he was one-upping him because I thought he got him with a good cross-check in the head, too.
He did.
It looked like it hit him in the head.
Like, let's not say Matthews didn't do anything here. Like, man, he cross-checked him, he slashed him, he speared him right in the gut. Like, so he did pretty much everything you want someone doing in that situation besides either grab him or fight him after. I mean, like,
do you remember the situation? It was about probably 10 years ago. John Scott, I think it was, and Phil Kessel face off. And John Scott's a tough guy. We're not talking Konechny here. That's we're talking John Scott that can only really fight, and he's trying to go at Kessel. Do you remember this? And Kessel just whamming him right 6 times.
What do you want him to do?
Not a chance in hell. I'm fighting you. Like, to me, that's a different situation. Like, no way should you. I wouldn't even want to bear hug that guy, but especially if you're Kessel, right? But that made me think of that. I thought it was pretty.
And then that's when David Clarkson, a new signing, jumps the bench, gets 10 games in the preseason. So you know who the only guy that didn't get suspended there in that situation was John Scott. Kessel got like 4 or 5 games. Clarkson, for the slashes. Clarkson got 10 games for jumping the boards, and John Scott gets off scot-free. And you know who was the guy in charge at that time? The biggest politician sleazebag that we have in the NHL, Brendan Shanahan. So there you go.
That's too funny. I didn't even realize that the suspension's there. I do remember the Clarkson though.
Yeah.
Which is too funny.
Former Belleville Bull.
Yeah, former Belleville Bull. But anyways, at least it looks like they're turning around. I think they're going to have an up and down season. I think it's going to be real interesting to see how this next little couple of weeks go here, especially with Samsonov's injury. Where's Murray even at? I don't even know where.
They said he could practice this week, but I mean, what do you expect from the guy? He's barely played hockey in a year and a half. Like,
well, in a year and a half. He's barely played hockey in the NHL.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah. So like, they're saying, everyone's saying now, oh, don't worry, Murray's coming back next week. Hallelujah. Like, who cares? Like, who cares? Like, it's not like he's going to be much better than anyone else. Like, I don't know if he's a borderline, he doesn't even an NHLer anymore. Like, he's got to prove it.
Yeah, for sure. So, no, it's gonna be fun to see how the Leafs go. I think, like you said, I think they make the playoffs up and down. I don't know if Matthews gets 60 this year. I think he's got off to a slow start.
Two last night or two Saturday night, buddy.
But should we put a bet on that, or I'm trying to egg you on here? But
well, I got to see where he's at. I might put some money down on a little bit here. I got
to see where he's at. One guy I do want to give some praise to, because I have chirped him a little bit, and I think he's actually playing really good hockey. Is John Tavares?
If it's not John Tavares, you're wrong, because he's been unreal.
Yep, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, John Tavares has played really, really well.
Yeah.
I want to, because he hasn't played. I haven't been that impressed the last couple, even since he went to Toronto, and then the last little while, holy, this guy, he's scored some beautiful goals. Mm-hmm. I think he scored the winner last night, or against Carolina, didn't he? Or he scored one anyways, pretty sure. And then he had a hat trick.
Against Philly.
Against Philly. Did you see a couple of those goals?
Oh, they're unreal goals, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, the guy's playing really, really good hockey, and good on him. I think he's realized that, you know what, he's got to keep stepping it up. Everyone's talking about his foot speed, but I think he must have been working on that all summer, because it's not as bad as I thought it would be.
He does look better, and he's a guy that we've always known he's going to have to transition into like a different kind of player on the back 3 years of this contract. Like, he's an 88 birth year, isn't he, Tavares?
No, he's not that old.
Okay.
90. He's a 90.
Really? Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. Everyone knew that the back 3 years of this deal were going to be trouble, right? He was brought in to kind of win in the first 3-4 years of the deal. So he's going to have to change into like a different player. But look at these guys that have kind of, transitioned into, maybe they're not the offensive force they once were. Let's look at like a Crosby or a Bergeron or guys like that. Like a guy like Tavares can kind of transition into a different role, still put up 70, 80 points, and be a really important player on a team. So he's just got to find that groove, and I think he's finding it pretty well right now.
Yeah, so good on him. But again, playoffs. Can't wait to see it.
You want to
win more money?
Let's change into win more money. We got $200 in the Sens making the playoffs. I already feel that.
Is that what we got?
We got 200. Yeah.
I thought that was the Sens making the playoffs in the next 5 years.
No. So I don't know. We could probably put money on that too, because that probably won't happen. But let's talk about the other wagon here in the Battle of Ontario. Let's talk about the Ottawa Senators. What's going on, Brokey? I think the Norris thing is obviously going to be a big thing. We'll talk about that later. But what do you see in the Sens, bud?
So they lost their first 2 games of the year. One of them was against Toronto. I didn't think they were bad games. I think each one was by a goal, if we don't include any empty netters. Actually, I think almost every loss they've had this year, pretty much, most of them has been all by a goal other than an empty net. So problem is you lose the first 2, you regroup, you win 4 in a row at home, right? Real good stretch. Now they've lost 5 in a row, and literally I'm seeing a lot of the same situations and mistakes being made that happened the last 3-4 years, which now when you're getting these better players, you're getting these guys developed, you have a better team, there should be way more success. And it just isn't, it's not happening. I mean, there's no way you should lose to Philadelphia. Like, come on, man. I get there. And it just shows the Tortorella, the type of style he's got. Have you watched much Philly this year? It's unbelievable the amount of shots and it's like they're playing playoff hockey every night, it seems. Just the way they play, their style. And that's John Tortorella. And that's what he wins. He wins 2-1 hockey games, right? And that's what Ottawa lost the other night. And that's just good on him. That's why he's a good coach, usually only for a couple of years, and then he's out of there because everyone gets sick of him. But the first couple of years, he's usually good. So Ottawa right now, it's very frustrating. Obviously, Norris was a loss, but I don't think Norris is as big as a loss as Zub. When you go to the games, you hear Zub.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's not from Ottawa thinks they're booing him, but they love him. But Zub is a very, very good shutdown defenseman. They got to sign him. And since he's been out, I think that's when they started losing their 5-game winning streak. The other thing I will point out, I believe I could my stats might be slightly wrong, but I think Ottawa's 0-6 or 0-7 with Nikita Zaitsev in their lineup.
Really?
What does that tell you? 0-6, I believe. 0-6 with this guy in the lineup. Like, why play him? Play JVD, play Thompson. You got these guys. I know they're in the American League, and they might not fully be ready. But holy shit, this guy is horrible. Like the other night, there was a video I've shared on Twitter, and it was like, He got the puck behind the net. He came around the corner, and there was nobody forcing him. The guy was at the blue line. And he passed it to the guy coming in at the blue line. And it's like, what the hell? I think, holy jumping, guys on my Saturday team aren't even that bad. But it's just, I think Ottawa's, they're still in the cusp. There's a lot of guys that just are underperforming. I really like Claude Giroux's game. I know he's bringing it every night. DeBrincat can't score. I don't know what the hell's going on with him.
Yeah, I know.
Masterson's been underperforming.
Yeah.
Timmy Stützle's up and down. He'll play some really good periods, and he'll play some other bad periods. I'm fine with Brady Tkachuk's game. I think the guy's got like 16 points in 12 games, and he's not a point guy like Matthews or a Marner. So that's really good. I think he's done really good leadership. The biggest knock this year, without a shadow of a doubt, on the Ottawa Senators is Thomas Chabot. Where the hell have you been? You've been awful. It's been a joke. Your stick's a foot too long. I know where you're passing before you passed 5 seconds ago. Like, it's unbelievable. It's like, what are you doing? And you got this is a DJ Mark. They played the shit out of him the last 3 years. Is he worn out? I don't know. Is he sore? Has he got injuries? I don't know. But he's playing like shit. And then they still play him 26 minutes a game. It's like you finally got Sanderson there. Branstom's playing the best he's played in the NHL. I think he's only going to get better, especially in the offensive zone. You still have Chabot on power play 1 that's not scoring. Put one of these other guys up there.
That's it. And if he's tired from that, you dial back the minutes. Same thing with Morgan Riley. Like if Morgan Riley's having trouble defending, hey, take him off power play 1. Like, it's not like he's, you're not like you're the pure quarterback. Someone else can do it, and dial back their minutes there.
So, and it comes down to this, and this is where I'm starting to see, we've seen it here, but I think DJ Smith has done a really good job the last few years helping this team rebuild and learning and growing and going with the game. The issue is, can he take them to the next level, in which that is making the playoffs? I don't see it right now. I'm seeing the same mistakes. 2 games in a row, their last 2 losses, they had an extra attacker. Guess who the extra attacker was? Derek Brassard, both games. Derek Brassard was signed on a PTO.
Yeah.
Like, no other team wanted him.
Well, now he's your second-line center.
He earned the right. Well, he's not a second-line center.
He's playing second-line center right now.
Out there. Maybe you try it once. Everyone was losing it when he did it the first game. Then he went back and did it again. Well, guess what? They didn't score. They didn't really have any quality chances to score. I'm not saying it's all on Derek Brassard, but to me, that's a coaching mistake, right? Mm-hmm. You're playing Zaitsev. Zaitsev shouldn't even be on the team, so maybe that's Dorian. I don't know. And Chabot's minutes way changed. So I'm on more of a change the coach mode in Ottawa than I am Dorian. But at the same time, I feel like Dorian, you still got to make a move here. Get Zaitsev off the team. I'm not in panic mode, but it's going to be soon. And if Ottawa loses their next game, which they play Tuesday night, I mean, to me, it's got to be a no-brainer. You can't lose 6 games in a row. They have too good of a team to be losing 6 games in a row. This isn't Ottawa in 2019 or 2020. We've got good, decent players. We're not near as bad as that. We can beat teams. We're the only team to beat Boston the first 10 or 11 games into the season. They've only lost to Toronto and Ottawa out of, 13 games? I'd say that we can win. Yeah. The issue is it's something's got to happen, and it's very frustrating to watch. So I think Ottawa's got a good stretch here where I think there's the next 6 or 7 games, they play all beatable teams. But at the end of the day, like we just talked about at the start of the podcast, doesn't matter if you're playing the Phoenix Coyotes or the Boston Bruins. If you don't show up to play, you're not winning. So I think there's a good chance Ottawa turns it around here. But if they don't in the next game or 2, DJ has to go. There's no other option.
So this is the first time we talked about, you said pretty much under any circumstance, DJ's got to get till Christmas, New Year's kind of thing. So if they lose Tuesday night, you're calling wraps with DJ. Bring someone else in. Well, Troy Mann.
Originally, my thought was 20 games. We have to be at least above 500 after 20 games, and that was even like a bare minimum. Mm-hmm. Right now, they're 3 games under 500. If they lose their next game, they're 4-8. Mm-hmm. Holy shit! That means you got to win 4 games in a row to get to 500, and then if you don't lose your next game, you're still a game under. So technically, you got to win 5 games like in a row to be above 500, which where you should be. Yeah. I mean, and that's if you don't lose, I guess that's if you lose your next game. But so it's really coming to the wire here. And the reason why originally I thought maybe Troy Mann, watching what he did in Belleville, and I think he's done an awesome job in Belleville, and is bring him up. But now I'm looking at it, I think the total opposite. I think they had a guy who was a rookie coach. He's done a good job. He's brought these guys. A lot of them have really, really worked their way into the league and are doing well. Now we need a coach with some experience. They need experience and a guy that's taken a team to the next level. So I would not be happy at all if they fired DJ to bring in Troy, or is it Troy Man? Yeah, it's Troy Man because Trent's the big guy. I wouldn't be happy if they brought in Troy. It's nothing against Troy. It's just the fact that I want somebody who has NHL coaching experience. Maybe it's Barry Trotz. I know it's probably not going to happen because I think that might be Toronto's out. Him, Julien. I mean, there's a couple other guys out there that could possibly do the role. But let's not go out there and get a budget coach again.
I don't think you're going to get like a big name coach again, just because of the fact, like, look at these guys that have come in and made a difference last couple of years. What's his name? Jared Bougnard in Colorado won the cup last year. Like, he's a complete nobody. Jay Woodcroft from Edmonton, he comes in, completely turns that ship around. Sheldon Keefe comes in for Mike Babcock, turns the ship around there. Like, it's not the big name guys that have been coming in. Like, I know Boudreau came in a few years ago in Vancouver, but I wouldn't call Boudreau a big name coach. Like, he's I don't think Boudreau's ever won a cup. Kind of a mid
came in last year. Bruce, there it is. And then Vancouver started 0-6.
Yeah.
They've actually turned around now. I think they won 3 or 4 games in a row, something like that. So
but you know what I mean? That's my point is, like, I don't know if there's any like big name coaches kind of out there you can get. Like, I think you're going to have to go for the budget coaches, you call it. But I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like a different world now. I don't see any of those big name guys coming out and saving any teams now. Like, I just don't think they're there anymore. Like, would Joel Quenneville come back? I don't think so. Like, I think he's out of the league.
I think it's whether or not the league and any team will risk taking him. I mean, we see
which they shouldn't. Like,
I don't want to get into this, but anytime somebody tries to bring somebody that something has happened to, if we can read behind the lines here, it does not go over.
Well, look at this case just this weekend with that.
It's a bad thing, but cancel culture. If you make a mistake in the world today, you're fucked. Let's put it that way.
Look at that kid from Boston.
I'm not saying
Did you not see the Boston kid?
But
what's the Boston kid? The defenseman, Mitch.
Well, they got rid of him now.
That's what I mean. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to get into that.
He lasted 48 hours, and he's done. Like, you can't come back from things anymore.
And that happened in grade 8. Like, that's a long time ago. So, yeah, I don't really want to get into that. One thing I will say is, if people only knew everything about everybody, they would hate everybody.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
I mean?
Yeah.
Read between the lines there, people. But anyways, I'm not, and you can't do what he did, and I did read what he did, and it isn't right. Anyways, I don't want to talk about that. But point is, yeah, you're probably not going to see Quenneville again in the league. I'd be very, very surprised because of the way cancel culture is these days. If it was 20 years ago, yes. The other guy, Mike Babcock, I don't want to see Mike Babcock in Ottawa, but I mean, there's guys like that too, right? So who's the other guy? Villionette, or what the hell is his name?
Alain Vigneault.
Alain Vigneault.
Yeah.
So there is a couple other guys on the list that I saw. I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, if they make the coaching change, you got to make sure you have the right guy there, because you got to think, like, we got a guy. We want him the next 3 years. You don't want to hire a guy for.
I don't think you can throw this all on DJ right now, just because, man, you're missing Josh Norris. He's your first line center, man. Like, he's legit. He's your first line center. He's the straw that makes that. He makes Kachuk go. So whatever who's on that line right now? It wasn't Drew at the start of the year though, right?
I disagree with that in a sense. Like, I like Josh Norris, but when I look
he's
at
a 40 goal scorer, man.
Across the league, Ottawa has so much, let's say, balance in their first 2 lines, where a lot of teams are like, they're top heavy and they have that really first line center that's a first line center, and then they have a second line center. Where Ottawa's got like a first line center and a first line center B or whatever. Right?
Yeah, 1A, 1B.
Josh Norris was on the first line and the second line, or whatever you want to call it, throughout this. I know he's been the first line last couple of years, but now they've kind of moved Timmy there. They've had Pinto in there. They've changed lines. They also have Giroux, who plays some center a little bit, so or at least takes draws and whatnot. So, I mean, again, it's a big loss, but I don't think it's as big as loss as, let's say, losing to Sidney Crosby or McDavid or or anything like that. But it is a loss. Well, honestly, I think the biggest loss is Zoop. I really do. And it's hard to say it's pinned on DJ, but when I'm seeing the same mistakes over and over and over, you're playing these old veterans. He does it every year. He plays these old veterans, and then half of the year he goes, well, we should have played the young guys. Well, no shit. The whole fucking Ottawa media, or not media, Ottawa fans, because I follow 400 of them on Twitter, we all just rip to say the same thing. It happens every year over and over and over and over, DJ. Like, how many times are you going to make the same mistake?
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts. Like, Nikita Zaitsev sucks. He's not an NHLer. I don't care if he makes $10 million or $10. Don't play him. Like, he's terrible now. Sorry. Go to the KHL. like, it's just frustrating because I know Toronto has the same situation with Justin Holl. It just drives everybody nuts.
Oh, yeah.
These coaches keep playing him and playing, and it's like,
Hey.
like Zaitsev, the one game had the most, because I think other than Shabbat, him and Holden, who is the worst 2D they have on their team, had the second and third most minutes in the whole team. Like, what the, like, that's coaching. That's coaching. I'm sorry. And I'd rather die with somebody who's going to be your future rather than two guys that just suck and you don't even, they're not going to be on your team next year, let alone a month.
Yeah.
Why even play them? Like, fuck.
Yeah.
If you're going to dress them, okay, make sure they play the second and last amount of minutes on the team because unless they improve, which they're not.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. And I really like Brandstrom's game this year, especially like I'm watching him on the power play. He didn't get much time, but I'm like, holy shit, this guy's way more comfortable. You don't know where he's passing. It just seems like you're more on the offense with him, where like Shabbat's just turning the puck over. You can read his plays. I swear his stick's 6 inches longer. I think someone's played a joke on him and given him different longer because it's like, watch him, man. It's like, what's going on? And I thought he was really good last year. I was really on him.
You were hard on him last year for sure.
Then it's night and day. And I talked to a lot of Senators fans and whatnot, and listen to them on Twitter, and we all give our feedback. And it's like everybody's saying the same thing. It's like, well, what happened to this guy? So I don't know. It's kind of a mess right now in Ottawa. I still think there's time to change it around, but the time is now. I mean, this Tuesday night game, it's a must win. You have to. It's got to be Game 7 mentality to win. You do everything. You got Talbot back now. He played a game and a half, whatever it is, and he played great. He's only allowed, I think, 2 goals in probably, let's say, 80, 90 minutes. Like, really good. And nothing on Forsberg, too. Forsberg started the year. Other than that last game where he let 5 goals in, he was dynamite. Like, he was top 10 in the league, I'd say, as far as statistics go.
Yeah.
I thought he's been really good. So I'm not blaming the goalie situation in Ottawa at all right now. To me, and the other last part, just one more rant. Ottawa's got to have one of the worst defensive structures I've seen in the NHL. I watch all the other teams, and even when you watch them come into the zone, you're pressured. You're on you. You don't have time to pass. It's like when you go to Ottawa's end, it's like, here you fucking go. Let's have a heyday, boys. Just move the puck around the outside and bang, bang, boom, a shot on net. What the hell are you doing? Watch it. Watch the Sens game Tuesday night, and you'll see the structure in their D zone. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And to me, that's coaching.
Well, I've been watching a lot of horrible Z-zone structure for a couple of years. The Leafs, the only person the Leafs don't cover is the guy right in front of the goalie. So, I mean, let's just cover those guys that are the friggin' pretty much outside the blue line. There's 2 defensemen. We'll be right on him. But the guy right in front of the goalie, no. He's free and clear. Just fucking let the goalie got him. Like, I've been watching horrible D-zones covered for a long time, buddy.
Well, I think a lot of these teams too, like the Leafs, I find them cheating offensively because they.
You think?
You know, when you got those guys like, they're swinging high or they're not coming back,
Man.
and they know if they get the puck, I'm gone. I got this guy beat, right?
It was funny. So they were playing Anaheim the other night. Ever got on Marner for a couple turnovers, right? When they were playing Anaheim, they lost.
Remember that?
But so the one turnover, and this is my point, is just people thinking offense that shouldn't be thinking fucking offense. So you have like Marner's in the O zone. He's getting back pressure, so like he's coming back to the blue line. And Hall, your number 6 defenseman on the far side, is like, well, I guess it's time for me to go to the front of the fucking net. Like, what? Give the guy an outlet, and then all of a sudden Marner gets stripped, and he's the only one back there. Like, all of a sudden the 2 defensemen are like, oh, Marner's going to throw it down low, and like, makes no sense. Just fucking – sometimes, some guys, like if you're a 5th or 6th defenseman, I don't know. Maybe this would help for your guy too. What's Zaitsev. Maybe just tell him, hey, just stand on the fucking blue line, and – the only way you skate is backwards. Like, maybe that'll help some guys. I don't know, because, like, some guys just make the stupidest decisions I've ever seen. Like, I don't get it. Like, just, man, if you're a 6th defenseman, hey, don't try to score goals, dog. Just play defense. Like, how about that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right.
Marner score goals.
Yeah, well, that's just it. So, but is he playing Marner too much? Probably too, the same situation. And that was funny because he, like, benched him. Marner went and had his little cry and his stick breaking in the room and then come back out and he played him again. Mm-hmm. And it's just – I don't know.
Well, like when we were going to come on last week and then we didn't, I had a big thing ready to go about, I don't know how Marner's the guy that gets benched in that situation. He literally plays 25 minutes a night. He plays more ice time than anyone else in the league. And all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, no. Marner's the problem? There's no way. It just, I get some guys you got to pay for their mistakes sometimes, but if you're not going to send a message to anyone else and the first time you pick a battles with Mitch Marner, that's a poor decision for sure. No way about it.
They seem to battle their head, like hit heads.
They are butting heads for sure right now. They are, yeah.
This year especially. Yeah. So, but you're right. If you're going to play a guy that much, you got to expect the odd mistakes going to happen. It's just
and he's just playing the exact way you tell him to play too. Like, I'm sure he knows he should probably dump the puck back in the zone, but you play this style of never, ever give the puck to the other team. So he's literally just playing the exact system you want, more minutes than anyone else in the whole league, and you're going to shit on him. Like, I don't know. I don't get that. I think Marner's got a gripe about that for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the end of the day, the two hockey teams, the Leafs and the Sens, I think the Leafs need some changes with some personnel, which goes on Dubas, and I think Ottawa might, pending this week, need some changes with their coaching staff, which goes to DJ. Not, I think one's one problem, one's the other, but we'll see what happens the next couple of weeks. Hey, you never know. Maybe Ottawa gets on a 4 or 5 game winning streak, and I'm smiling ear to ear. Having said that, buddy, what do you think around the league? What's your take on Connor McDavid? Is he going to score 70 goals or what?
Yeah, McDavid legit might
60 or 80 or what?
McDavid legit probably will get 60, but I wanted to talk about one thing about the round the league, and just because we're on the Senders, I'll say this now. Erik Karlsson. Did you know Erik Karlsson has 10 goals? He has 10 goals, man. It's unreal. Like, he's found it again. He's the guy.
What's the reason? The reason is he's the guy on his
He's the guy, yes. Yeah.
Burns is gone.
Yeah.
He's now on the ice all the time. He's the power play guy. He's the man.
It runs through him.
Ottawa, and we all thought, oh my, I thought this. When he went to San Jose, I'm like, holy shit, the other teams aren't going to touch the puck with those two. But what happens is there's only one puck and there's only so much ice time.
Yeah.
And then you got guys, they're not both the man. You know what I mean? They both have to kind of share that.
Mm-hmm.
And it took away from both of them. It really did. So they moved Burns, and now it's great to see Karlsson. He's really, really doing well. I mean, I think he's got
19 points in 14 games.
Something like that. Did you say 10 goals? Like, I think
10 goals,
he broke or something.
I'm not sure.
For the first 10, I don't know if it was broke or he was top 3 or something, but it was like first amount or lowest amount of games for a defenseman to get to 10 goals. Like, it was something crazy like that. So good on him. I love it. I always loved him in Ottawa. You know that. 2017 playoffs was absolutely amazing. He was the best player on the planet during that playoffs. But good for him. Awesome to see. I love to see guys turn it around. I still think San Jose is a very good hockey club. And it's still I'm still laughing. I still think we won that trade, but it's still good to see him have success. So we'll see if he carries it on all year, because if he does, I mean, that's Norris territory again, right? He's the best defenseman in the league right now as far as points goes. So, Cale Makar, I'm sure will have a little streak here soon where he'll put up, 20 points in 15 games or something.
Yeah, Roman Yossi too. He almost had 90 last year. So
yeah, so there's still lots of good talent around the league, but good to see Connor McDavid doing unbelievable though. And
just the best player in the world. Like, that's all you can say. Like, there's hands down, no argument. McDavid's the man. It's his league right now.
Another guy who got off to an unbelievable start. I haven't caught how he's done the last couple games, but I think he scored like 5 goals in the first 5 games. Was Rasmus Dahlin in Buffalo.
Yeah,
it might even been an NHL record.
Man,
the defenseman scored 5 goals in the first 5 games of the season.
Buffalo's a wagon right now, man. Buffalo's playing unreal.
They're that's a big surprise. I mean, I don't see it holding off all year.
No,
but, good for them to turn around, because that organization is kind of a little bit like Ottawa, or even worse.
Man,
they've been bad for a long time.
To be 7-5 with Craig Anderson, your starting goalie, like, that's unreal. It's unreal.
Yeah, that is, man. Craig Anderson, I think he's 42 years old.
Yeah, and Eric Comrie's like, it's Craig Anderson, Eric Comrie playing net. Like, man, to be 7-5 with that goalie and to be a rebuilding club, that's unreal.
Yeah, so good for them. I think they fall off a little bit, but definitely good to see.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't have anything else around the league. I want to touch about some betting. So we were talking about last time how you bet guys that are 2 goals down or a goal down kind of thing. I've had pretty back-to-back big wins here, buddy. So Saturday night,
Hold on. I need to take a 2-minute break. 1 second. Pause it. Let's go. Go. I told you got to stay inside.
So yeah, just kind of getting back to betting here. So a few big bets. I know I've been talking about like live betting when teams are down a goal or two, but Saturday night, my dear Tempe Coyotes down 1-0 to Washington going into the third period, 5.5 to 1 underdogs. Threw $50 on there. The payout's $350. A couple nights before that, what did I hit? I hit the Islanders were playing Colorado. The Islanders were down 2 goals. I think they were like plus 7 to 1 to win. Put $50 on that. That's a $400 payout. Just been rolling in these lately, but there was another one I hit. Was Buffalo. I hit Buffalo against Chicago. I think Chicago was up 4-2 and it's going into the third period. A couple nights ago, Buffalo comes back to win 5-4 in overtime. Another $50 bet plays like $330. So I think if you see any games like that, Brokey, where you're getting like 4.5 to 1, I'd start hitting the button on it, man. I'm kind of liking that.
Well, It's funny you say that because I started only with $100 in my account this year,
Yeah.
and I was hitting them, and I was up
Yeah.
to $700,
Yeah.
a little over. Well, I'm down to zero.
Well,
I think I had too many. Well, Ottawa's going to come back.
Yeah.
Well, Ottawa's going to come back.
That's
Well, they didn't come back 5 games in a row.
yeah,
And there was
you
some
betting
other
on the
teams
wrong
too
team
where,
on that one.
There was 2 nights in a row where I was hitting bets and I was betting like $50 too. Because I had a pile in my account. I'm like, just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, you thinking you're on a roll, and then all of a sudden you lose like 6 $50 bets in a row, and then more, and then
It's an emotional swing, isn't it? Like, do you feel emotional?
Well,
yeah, like it's a ride, eh? And
so I've taken like 4 or 5 nights off. I was like, you know what? I'm not betting right now. I got to regroup. When Ottawa wins their next game, then I'll start betting. I need to get some momentum.
So your problem is
But it's funny, like,
obviously
you can
betting the
hit
wrong
those,
team. Oh yeah, and like it's any team. Like I said, a little while ago, man. It was literally the Islanders against Colorado. Like I was pretty much like I'm just pretty much throwing away this $50, but like it's 7-1, so I'm just gonna do it. And it came back and hit. Sometimes what'll happen though, even Brokey, is like just say in that situation the Islanders get the next goal. Maybe they'll offer you a payout where like you're making a little bit of money on it anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I kind of feel like that juice is there with that right now for me.